Hello everybody, welcome to Deluxe Collectibles, and today we're going to be doing my reaction and review for LEGO Ninjago Season 14, Episode 1, Uncharted. If you would like to check out my reaction for this episode, you can be sure to go down below to the top of the description of the video where you'll find a link leading you over to Google Photos, where you'll be able to view my full uncut reaction to the episode with all of the footage for it as well. So if you haven't seen the episode yourself, you can also watch it there just along with me as well. And then once you're done watching that, you can feel free to come back over here, where in this video I will be letting you know all my thoughts and opinions on the episode, giving you a full spoiler review for it. And if you've already seen the episode, then you can just stay right here because we're gonna get straight into that right now. Alright, so to get started here, I've done reviews for LEGO Ninjago Season 11, 12, and 13, and I feel like when I've done those, looking back on them, it feels like I'm giving more of a recap of the episode than a review. So in this one, I kind of want to more so just focus on my opinions instead of just giving a synopsis of the episode and going through it beat by beat, because of course, if you're watching this, you've either watched the reaction to the episode or you've just watched the episode on your own time. So I just want to focus on my thoughts and opinions here and hear yours as well in the comment section down below. So let's just get straight into it here. And I think that this episode was honestly a really good one. I've seen some people complaining about the island. Now keep in mind, at this point in time, I've only seen episode 1, so I don't know what is to come in the future episodes. Of course, there's only 4 in total, but I know that some people watched the French version, so they would have already seen the complete sort of story for the island. But with me personally, I've only seen this first one, so I don't know where it's going to go forward, but I will be doing reviews and reactions for each and every episode of it. But nonetheless, for this one specifically, just this episode on its own, I thought it did a good job of kicking off the story pretty quickly. I know that some people have kind of complained about this being paced a little bit too quickly because it feels like they're trying to get a lot of story in when they really don't have the time for that, because of course now with every episode being only about 11 minutes, you're on a very limited amount of time, and when you're trying to cover a story like this, it can be kind of challenging to kind of kickstart that. But I felt like the opening sequence where we got to see Clutch, Wu, and Misako kind of going onto this island trying to look for something, it seems like they're starting an expedition, I thought it did a good job of kind of kicking off the motivation for the ninja, of course, to have to wind up going to this island, because they wind up finding out from one of the Adventurer Club members, or kind of the sort of like representative of the Adventurers Club, that Misako is actually missing. And then of course they realize with Wu as well, and Clutch Powers also, so that's what winds up kicking off their journey to kind of have to go to this island. And then they wind up going to Twitchy Tim to try to get his help, because he's one of the only people who has actually managed to escape from that island. So they wind up meeting him, and I thought his character was really fun. Of course, it can kind of be a hit or miss situation with like side characters for Ninjago, and especially with someone like this. I mean, let's all be honest, we're probably only going to be with Twitchy Tim for the island special, like for these 4 episodes, and then we probably won't see the character again. So you kind of have to like focus on just like telling us everything we need to know about the character specifically for this special and how he's going to help the ninja, but we don't really need to focus too much on him, because of course it's not going to be a character that, at least from what I can guess, that they're going to really build upon in the future. Of course, there's always the possibility of characters wind up returning, but this just seems like more of a one-off character here specifically for the island, so it makes sense. But I did like his character. He was very wacky when he was introduced, because he's apparently been struck by lightning like 12 times, so it's kind of messed around with him quite a bit. So he forgets things, and then he's kind of like got to remember them, and then he keeps forgetting that he's like having this conversation with the ninja. So it plays for a bit of a comedic moment that I thought worked pretty well, so I did like it for that. And let me just say as well, the animation for this special is absolutely spectacular. I think it's just so well done. It has such great design to it. I think that Wild Brain has honestly just really mastered the animation for Ninjago, because of course when they kind of took over for season 11, I think a little some people were a little bit more wary of kind of what they were doing with the series, but I think now they've really gotten into their groove here. And that was the same with like season 13 and season 12. I thought those were really well done also, but I feel like just with a smaller special like this, they can put a lot more care and detail into every single episode, because there's only 4 of them that you need to cover. So I like it for that reason alone. But basically the ninja wind up going to this island. Of course, they wind up kicking off their journey here, and I absolutely love it when they're kind of using the catamarans to kind of go along the sea. I thought that was really cool. I really enjoyed the aesthetic of that, and I felt like they worked it in pretty well with kind of having the vehicles in this because, of course, at the end of the day, Ninjago is a Lego show, so it has to represent the Lego products that kids are going to want to pick up and fans alike. So they of course have to show these off, which I kind of made a joke in my reaction that I assume Kai just pulled like the right straw for this one to kind of get the catamarans in his color scheme, because there's actually winds up being two of them and then Zane's on his own individual catamaran. So it's a little bit odd because of course within the set it's just like Kai and Zane, so it makes sense why Kai is kind of has his color scheme on this vehicle. But in the grand scheme of things, honestly, the vehicle could probably just be something a little bit more plain, or even would make more sense if it was more so Nia's color scheme, considering she is the water ninja and this is a water vehicle. I've definitely seen that a lot, that Kai has like more water vehicles than Nia does, so it doesn't make a lot of sense, but still I felt that it was well worked in, and of course it's necessary to have the catamarans for them to be able to get across the sea here and be able to arrive at the island. And then once they arrive there, they get the jungle bikes as well, which were really cool. So I did like the designs of them as well, and it makes a lot more sense. I did do a video previously where I kind of went over if whether or not them wearing the season 11 hoods in this special was an animation error, and now we know it was not. It was actually just them wearing them for when they were on the bikes, which I did kind of theorize that that could have been the reasoning behind that, because of course they don't want to get anything in their face, and it just seems a little bit more protective than just a headband on their hair than like actually having a mask on. It almost acts more so like a helmet, I would assume. So I like that. When they arrive on the island, they see like a help sign as well. They see signs that Wu, Misako, and Clutch were here, so they have to go kind of try to rescue them. And then the episode kind of ends pretty like, not abruptly, but it just ends like right where they're about to like start kicking off on the real journey here. So they hop on all of the bikes and then they go off to explore this island. So it's really quite interesting. We only get a small snippet of the story within this episode, but I still felt like it did a good job of kicking it off pretty quickly as well, because I was really nervous that the season was going to start off with the ninja just kind of goofing off at the start. So I was really glad that they were still kind of on their A game at the start of this episode, because that always kind of worries me. I don't really like that trope of like the ninja kind of goofing off at the beginning of the season. Now we haven't seen it as lately, but I remember it in season 11 and it was just not something that I really like. So I'm glad that they've kind of done away with that, at least for this special here, because it makes sense. You don't have a lot of time to cover the story here, and they're trying to tell what seems to be a pretty expansive story to kind of lead into the next season of Ninjago. So it makes sense. So I like that they rid away with that, and I thought that the characters were all really well done in this episode. I felt like everyone got pretty equal time to kind of like have their moments within the episode. Of course, I feel like Lloyd is kind of the main ninja for this special, even though it isn't exactly stated. It's not like, oh, it's like a Kai season or Zane season, but it definitely seems like Lloyd is sort of the main one for this special. So I think we're going to see a lot of like time spent with his character, and probably Nia as well, because of course they're setting up her season where it's going to be central around her. So they have to kind of set that up as well. So give her some more development also, and some more attention, which I'm definitely very excited to see throughout this. So I'm just really eager to find out everything that's going to kind of happen across the sort of span of this story here. And we do get to see Pixel at the beginning of the episode too, which we don't really get to see too much of Pixel anymore, I feel like. So it was cool to kind of get to see her. Now she stays with the Destiny's Bounty, so she isn't exactly going to be joining them on this adventure. So that might be a little bit disappointing to some people, but I don't think I mind it too much. But I would like to see some more from her eventually at some point, hopefully in the next season, because I don't really expect to see too much. Maybe in the final episode if she comes to help them out with whatever dilemma they wind up getting themselves into. So that's something I could kind of foresee happening. But yeah, it's definitely quite interesting. A few things I do want to mention as well that didn't really have anything to do with the story, but were still some pretty cool little Easter eggs that we had at the beginning of the episode. They do mention Fuji Dove, because apparently a bunch of prisoners escaped, and the one who actually wound up getting recaptured was Fuji Dove. So I think that's quite funny that they do a name drop right there, because I think that's such a cool character, and I'm really excited to see if that character winds up returning at some point. So I think that could be pretty interesting to see, because it's a pretty good comedic relief sort of villain character who isn't really an actual villain or even criminal at any point. So I found that quite interesting. And then we also do get a little article that actually it is Ronan who is helping the police with recapturing these criminals. So I found that really interesting. I believe it's one of the first times that we've even had mention of Ronan since like maybe even before like season 11. I don't even know if we've had a mention of him very recently. I'm not sure exactly when the last time would have been, but it feels like we haven't seen anything from him for quite a while. So it was cool to get a name drop for him and also a look at him as well, and kind of like a somewhat new redesign, I suppose, just kind of an upgrade with like Wild Brain sort of like animation style. So I thought that was quite cool to see. So I like those little two small Easter eggs there. Nothing to really do with the story, but just little things that might be teasing setups of maybe that character returning. So I'm interested to see where that winds up going for sure in the future. Alright, so that's about everything that I have to say for this episode here. I thought that it was well done. I don't really have any qualms with it. I thought it did a good job of setting up the story and kind of getting to it. So now in the next episode, hopefully we will see a little bit more action in the episode and maybe introduce the Keepers as well, because I'm really intrigued as to kind of what sort of like antagonists they're going to wind up being, because I don't think they're going to be straight up villains, but they're definitely going to be an obstacle for the ninja to have to overcome. So I'm really interested to kind of see how that winds up playing out, but overall, I would say it's a pretty good episode. It wasn't perfect, but I would still say it was well done and it had really great elements to it. So now I want to hear all of your thoughts on the episode. Be sure to let me know down below in the comment section what were your thoughts on it. Did you enjoy the reaction if you wound up watching it? And did you enjoy the review as well? Be sure to let me know both of those things down below as well. And you can also let me know just by leaving a like on the video. It is highly appreciated, and also subscribing as well if you want to see the other 3 reactions and reviews for episodes 2, 3, and 4. Be sure to stay tuned for those. So thanks so much. I will see you all next time, and always remember, keep on collecting.